Hey YouTube, it's Justin, aka Demonic Sweaters. Today we're here for another drum lesson, and today's lesson is going to be about rudiments. Now, rudiments are kind of like sticking exercises that have been around for a really long time, basically since the very beginning of drumming history, when they started writing it down. Rudiments were exercises, or are exercises, that you can do with your sticks. They include things such as rolls, paradiddles, flams, flammecues, other things like this. There's a lot of different rudiments, literally way more than I would be able to do in this video. But what I'm going to do is show you some of the very basic rudiments, basically how you get started learning some rudiments and where you can learn more about them if you want to. And the reason why you may want to do this is because the more you know rudiments, the better you're going to be at drums. It just really is that simple. One big problem with a lot of modern drummers, they fail to learn the rudiments. And if you go back and look at drummers of the past like Buddy Rich, Gene Krupa, all these old jazz drummers, they would learn the rudiments before they would start playing the drum set. And so that gave them a lot of chops on just their snare drum. Like if you notice Buddy Rich, he does a lot just on the snare drum, and he's very quick and does a lot of different things that people today have a hard time even comprehending. And a lot of that is because he's just laying in a bunch of rudiments in there. So let's go ahead and get started, and we'll show you just a couple of the basic ones here to get started with it. And I wanted this to be a pretty beginner lesson. And one of the things that you may not know, a roll, you know, a lot of people when they think of a roll, they immediately think of a double stroke roll, which goes like this. However, a roll doesn't have to be a double stroke roll. In fact, the first rudiment that we're going to learn is just called a single stroke roll. And that one just goes like this. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Now if we put that roll to use, it'll go something like this. Now on the link down below, which goes to pas.org, which stands for the Percussive Arts Society, I think, and they have put together a list of rudiments that they think, you know, basically are the basics for everybody to learn. And one good thing about learning these particular rudiments is these are the ones that are used by a lot of high school band and things that will actually give you a test if you want to try out for All-State or the NISMA test or anything like that, is going to be rudiments taken from this PDF. So it's a good idea to learn all of these. And the next one on the list is going to be the single stroke 4, and that one just goes like this. Now, one of the things you'll want to keep in mind when you are learning these rudiments is to be holding your sticks correctly. Now, what I mean by that, if you look at my hands, notice my palms are facing down. Not like this, but downward. And another thing too is you want to make sure you have a good, proper grip of your sticks, and to do that you want basically your thumb directly behind your index finger. Let me see if you can see that. And then these fingers should be wrapped around the back of the stick. Now, most of the grip is going to be right here, but that does not mean that you want to go like this, because I see a lot of new drummers doing that by mistake. You definitely want to have your back fingers wrapped around the stick, and the reason for that is because these fingers become your control. Now, as you can see, as I'm moving my stick like that, you notice how this point becomes almost like a pivot point for the stick. And so if I'm gripping the stick right there, this will enable you to play things quite fast that you wouldn't normally be able to do if you were just using your hands. So basically it's a combination of wrist and fingers that I use to be able to do fast single stroke rolls. Okay, so definitely be holding the sticks correctly. That is very important, and especially becomes more important when we start learning things like double stroke rolls. Now, a double stroke roll means you're going to be bouncing the stick and hitting it 2 times on each. But we're not quite there yet on the document, but I'm going to go ahead and show it to you a little bit anyways. Double stroke roll would go like this. And you'll notice too, I was still having my hands, my palms facing downward towards the drum, or towards the floor really, or toward my legs, however you want to look at it, and still keeping most of my grip here on my fingers and my thumbs, but wrapping my fingers around the back of the sticks, and then using that as my control, and this right here being my pivot point for my sticks. Now you'll notice if I'm holding them improperly and doing this, some people, you'll see people start to do that, and then you'll just end up with a really sloppy roll. Notice how my left stick is moving all over the place. You definitely don't want to be doing that, and that's not gonna really... Basically, you want to learn things right from the get-go, because if you learn them wrong in the beginning, it becomes even harder to change them later on. Because I actually had this problem too, where I would play, especially on my ride cymbal, I would tend to turn my hand over this way, which I still do occasionally, and it's not the best, definitely not the best practice or the best technique, but I ended up having a rehearsal studio where I didn't have much room over here, and so I had to, basically I couldn't play my ride like that anymore. I had to play it the more proper way, which was hitting the bell cymbal, the bell on the ride rather, more like this, and that kind of forced me into using the palm down technique on my ride. But I still do switch it up a little bit on my cymbals, but when I'm on the drums themselves, I try to always have my palms facing downward, especially when I'm doing rolls or rudimentary type things. Okay. I'm gonna skip down a little bit here past the single strokes, and the next one, actually what I want to talk about is number 4 on the document of the link down below. And number 4, you'll notice something a little weird there. It says multiple bounce roll, and it looks like a half note with a Z on it. Now, what that means, it's basically the symbol for the multiple bounce roll. And what a multiple bounce roll is, sometimes people refer to this as a buzz roll. And what that means is you're basically digging the stick more into the surface of the drum, rather than doing a clean double stroke roll like this. You're going to be doing something more like this. And in the example they show, or they have recorded on their page, is they started off very slowly, something like this. Oops, I went back to a clean double stroke there. But all right, now numbers 5 and 6, in my opinion, these should be reversed because they have the triple stroke roll listed before the double stroke open roll. But nonetheless, the triple stroke roll is going to be 3 hits per hand. So and the double stroke roll being 2 hits per hand, which I talked about a little while ago. Now you might see another note there again that you don't recognize under double stroke roll. Now, or double stroke open roll rather. What that is basically just the symbol for the double stroke roll. And the way that you could interpret that, it looks like a half note with 3 lines on it. The lines basically are the same as if, you know, we were reading 16th notes or 32nd notes. So you could interpret that as 32nd notes for the double stroke roll. And being if you were playing like this as a single stroke, being 16th notes, the double stroke roll turns it into 30 seconds like this. All right, the last one we're going to talk about today is the 5-stroke roll, and that's number 7 on the PDF. And this one is basically just a double stroke roll that you count to 5 while you're playing it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that is the right-handed version. There's also the left-handed version on the document. The only difference being you're starting one with the right hand and the other one you're starting with the left hand. All right, so hopefully that helped you understand some very basic rudiments. I'm gonna come back and we're gonna continue working through this document and making it through some of the more advanced rudiments as time goes on. So don't forget to click like and subscribe. Click that bell icon so you get notified every time I upload a new video. And yeah, thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below and check out my other videos because I have a lot of drumming and music videos on here. And thanks for watching, everybody, and have a great day.